What's up, guys? This is the official video of the new garage. We finally are back. Got everything up and running. I've already made a couple videos in the new place, but first we got to get you up to speed. This has been, I think today is day 29. I shot to do this in 30 days. It's been over the course of about 35 days. Had a couple mishaps in the beginning and had some metal in my eye. I had to go get taken out and slowed me down a little bit, but we're here, and like I said, I've already got the work. Best way to get this place organized is to start making videos. So yeah, let's start with day one and work our way to where we are. right, so it's been quite a journey. I did not cut my hair the entire time. I just got a haircut today. I needed it badly. But trying out a new wireless mic because we did still end up with a little bit of echo in here. So we're seeing how this works. Just a little cheapy off Amazon. Didn't want to break the bank because I've already broken it. We're going to talk later about how much this all cost and how much, well, not how much I saved. I did it all myself. That was the only reason it wasn't twice as much as it was. But I had a budget. The building, there was no way around that. The building cost $10,400 and some change. And I was trying to do all this for under $5. Felt like I spent probably 10, but we'll talk about that later in the video. I'll give you a full tour. So let's get started. So we'll start out here. This is kind of a waste of space, but it's where my breaker panel is. This is kind of be my charging station. This will be where the LiPos and stuff will charge, and all my Makita stuff. Got this little rack underneath for now, and just kind of full of BS at the moment. Got an extension cord. Thank goodness I don't have to run the extension cord out here every day anymore. But I got a little Wi-Fi booster so I can connect with the house better and have good service. I did all the wiring myself. I've never done that before, so it actually worked out really well. This box we had kicking around in storage unit for a long time, and yeah, won't go too much into that. Neighbor helped me a little bit, kind of get over the fear of it. He's a retired electrician, so that was handy. Got just a simple alarm system. Got sensors on all the entry points and motion sensor and thing like that. But yeah, shelves everywhere. You saw that reel I did. It's kind of funny about shelves. I saw horses kind of need to put away now. I finally passed that point. The next station over here, we've got Tamiya stuff in boxes. Most of those are kits not put together. I've got some vintage body shells and stuff. Down here, I've got my storage bins. This is kind of, oops, can't show that one thing on there. This is where I keep everything organized. These are all my hardware. This I've got, still bringing stuff out of the house, but this is all my tools. This is my travel box with all my RC tools. And I picked up another one, didn't really need it, so started organizing scale things. I've got kind of on truck scale stuff and then fun scale stuff in that section, and these latch up real nice. Over here I've kind of got the mess area. This is what I used. I used this toolbox in my house at my other studio, and this is a mess because I just piled everything in it when I moved. I have not got to organize the toolboxes yet, and that's kind of where I was at, where I need to know what I want to do where in the shop. So I've got the big stuff up on the wall. I've got my levels and nail gun and hammer like I had it at the other shop. I still haven't got my welder or my bandsaw out of storage yet. I need another shelf for tapes because tapes are crucial. I need those somewhere handy. But yeah, this is the messy side. So this is, you can see I've already done a lot of metal work up here, ground a bunch of stuff down, and yeah, got an empty shelf down there. That's handy. Sure, we'll fill that up real quick because I still have quite a bit of stuff in the house. I think I got all the RC cars though. So let's move around the other side. I should have called this one the BS corner. So ladder's got to go back to the other building. It is no room for it in here, but I just put the lights up the last day. These are those cheap Barina brand. They're in my Amazon store. They are fantastic cheap lighting. 8 of these was $58. And I mean, they just hook in. You can do 8 on one connector. It does have an on-off switch, but I've wired that outlet to an actual light switch. That's the only 2 switches I have in the whole building. I have the porch light and I have roof lights. This door is 9 foot wide. The building is 12. So we've got a lot of space. The original plan is to put my 4-wheeler in here, which will roughly take up as much space as my recliner is currently. I needed somewhere to sit and kind of soak this up the other night. That's where I was at, just kind of in awe that I'd actually finished this, and I'm just sitting here staring at this view. And I was like, you know what? See if we can build something. So anyway, back to this corner. More storage, lots of RC parts. That are all my specific stuff. I've got TAO 2 parts, Mini Cooper or M Series parts, Hilux body parts, so on and so forth. This is my old sticker box. It holds all of my RC stickers, and used to hold some tools. It used to hold tape, but it's not big enough for my tapes now. This is pretty much all the scraps I have left. I'm thinking of a project to do with these. That was my trim boards. You'll see more of that once we get into the studio. Up here, got more storage. One of those boxes is stuff for the air conditioning unit and alarm paperwork and just stuff for the building itself. I got my paints all in a row. Got my weathering station. That'll be here once I find a home for that trailer. This will be all stained up before long, full of wonderful rusty colors. What else? Got polycarbonate paint, and then the rest of that is plastics. Those are all just regular plastic paints up there. This is rat rod parts. Those are LEDs, and that's my old LED box full of really old stuff. I think I have some high lift headlights and all kinds of stuff in there. I don't know what to do with all my bad electronics, but I've got more to add to that box. So down here, this is kind of my clean workstation. So this is where I mark things and measure things, and I can actually build stuff out here. I've got a lot of scale stuff tucked in all this. I've got me another Canadian guy for my Winnebago to go with the one that Jeremy gave me. This is all full of odds and ends. Oh, I need to put that up. I was wondering where that was. Got Christmas wreath. Just little bits and pieces. I've got hubcaps and scale wires, and there's some bungee cords in there, and all kinds of good stuff down here. And then this is kind of the parts section. I've got a pegboard somewhere, and I've got a whole bunch of little stuff on pegs that need to be pegged, but I haven't gotten back up there yet to my storage unit. But the same stuff I always had at the other studio, wheels and bead locks, and this is all leaf springs here, all shapes and sizes and colors. RC four-wheel drive transmissions and transfer cases, cross members, some more scale, miscellaneous stuff, all kinds of good stuff. Parts wall, got vintage stuff, got tires and wheels, lots of different tires and wheels that are crucial to what I do. Tires, speaking of tires, I got some motors, speed controllers, servos. Just kind of toss those up here. All my crawler tires everywhere, all different sorts. And this was my big brown shelf in my other unit, and I kind of condensed it down. I wish I hadn't. But I like having all this stuff. This is kind of like just a creative grab bag. You just kind of see something scale like this little generator thing that looks super realistic, or pieces off that drift car that I never built and turned into a rat rod and then tore apart again. Got bumpers and a Hilux dash with a turning steering wheel, and I've never installed. Sound kit that 110 Rod Shop gave me. Got all my seats. Need to refill my Twister Tornado. It's a little low. Has plenty of soap in it though. 3D print sleeper, stuff like that. Up here, 3D printed bodies, parts, and pieces. Got another diesel engine I've had for a while. Some Hot Wheels I customized 20 years ago. Some glue randomly up here. Bearings and V8 hose parts for the scale V8s. This is all of my on-road tires and wheels. Got quite a bit of those. And my XV01. I got the parts to fix it. So you can see the aluminum ones there after I wrecked it racing in Kentucky. And I'm missing some more parts that I didn't know I needed. It has little bushings that go in to hold the A-arms. So yeah. Up top, more kit storage. Got the box for my Kyosho. Probably need to get rid of that because I don't think those are collectible boxes like Tamiya. I've had this VTR 4x4 with a sidekick body. I've had that for 2 years and I still haven't built it. I almost tried to a couple weeks ago and I just didn't. So it looks like a really fun little truck. It's very MST-ish. It's TWS brand. I've never seen a whole lot of them. They've come out with some new stuff lately, but then I've got my MST little on-road front-wheel drive drag car chassis that I've never finished. My original Alfa Romeo, that was the first RC hobby grade kit I ever had, and that is a brand new vintage kit in the box, complete, original, what year? 93. Then I got the box for my mint box art Pajero, and my never-ending FF01 project. And in that Volkswagen box is that green Mini Cooper all-wheel drive twin motor monster project thing. So, let me take a breath. All right, down on the bottom, we've got buddy heater, fan. Before I got the air conditioner in, I was using both of those because the weather here swings more violently than some of my ex-girlfriend's attitude. So my original plan was to put the red toolbox here and the orange one down there and have it where they would both pull out. So I can just roll this thing out if I need more counter space, which I'm sure I will because I'll have all this cluttered up before I know it. It will go back a little further. I'm not gonna mess with it at the moment. This was the one that was in my big shop. This is mostly big car tools and a lot of junk. And it's all jumbled up from moving to all my sockets and everything like that. Wrenches. There's a little bit of home hardware stuff. Nail gun that came in clutch during this build. Bead roller things, more sockets. I got a ton of sockets. Stuff like that. My other toolbox is textured, so I can't stick stickers on it. Kind of sucks. But got some of my favorite YouTube stuff on there. YouTube certified mechanic, Puddin's Fab Shop, Cletus, and then every sticker I've ever gotten from every brand of real car or RC stuff in my own. So over here I've got the motion sensor for the alarm system. And you know, I went cheap, just used OSB on the walls in here. It was, you know, I would have loved to have done this kind of stuff everywhere. This stuff is extremely expensive. These were expensive enough. I think OSB is still around $14 a sheet down here. So I've bought more than enough of that. So I've got air conditioning and a heater. These things, we actually have these in our house. We don't have central heat and air out here. And these things are fantastic. They're very efficient. Not super noisy. I have a cheaper one that I have in my bedroom and it is pretty noisy. So I went with a nicer one in here that does heat and air. These are about $700, one of the bigger expenses of the shop. But it's been fantastic. It got down around 39 last night. I had this set on 65 and it feels fantastic in here. I'm actually about to come out of this long sleeve shirt. The only thing left to talk about out here is the ceiling. So my original plan was to do OSB on the ceilings. And I cut some pieces over the loft and I could not get them up there because I haven't really talked about the build much, but if you saw this, I did this entire thing by myself. I didn't have anybody to help me try to get a 6 foot by 4 foot sheet up in the ceiling and screw it up straight and all that. So these metal, there's a bunch of places around here that do metal buildings and stuff. So you can just buy the metal. So I ordered a bunch of 6 foot panels because they're in a lighter gauge so I could manage it by myself and get it up easier. And it's not perfect, but it works. And I accidentally ordered way too much. So you saw on the walk around outside, I have no skirting on the building yet. So I have enough of this white metal, which will match the trim on the outside, to do the skirting. I just don't have an air nibbler or some kind of metal nibbler device because it didn't add up quite right. And I had to trim the end lip off of all these on the ends. And that was a nightmare trying to do it with a jigsaw with a metal blade. But it worked out great. These lights reflect good off of that and help kind of make the light less harsh. But yeah, I think that's about it for in here. So, the studio. I tried real hard to soundproof this as best as I could. I spent many sleepless nights on internet looking at studio soundproofing material. Everything is ridiculously expensive except the stuff on Amazon, which is really cheap and had terrible reviews. It didn't come with any way to stick it. It says to allow them to expand and they don't, and then the temperature changes and they peel and fall off the walls, and people were just having bad luck with that. So I haven't done any extra sound deadening in there, but I went crazy in the walls. So this building, if you saw at the very beginning, is completely open, 12 by 24, hollow shell, down to studs. So everything is insulated, even out here. I've got regular fiberglass batting insulation. This inside wall has fiberglass insulation, it has foam insulation, and excuse me, all the walls in there have all three. They have foam insulation, fiberglass insulation, and a moving blankets. So I was looking at that. I've seen some like sound deadening blankets, and I'm like, Harbor Freight always has sales on those moving blankets. So I went and bought, I think, like 10 of those for like $50 and put that inside the wall. I actually stapled that over all the other insulation before I put up my wood boards. So I didn't get it on the ceiling because it was just physically impossible at that point. But the ceiling does have regular insulation. It has OSB on the top, so I can put stuff up there. Use it to store. And on the inside, it does have some real nice thick MDF, which is real dense wood, shiplap. It was somewhat manageable. And yeah, outside wall here, this is the same as the other three inside walls. This is all the scraps that I had from doing the other part. And then I had to buy like 2 or 3 more boards than I planned on. But it looks cool. It adds a little, it kind of gives you a hint as to what's inside. And you got a really neat rustic looking wall. And I'm thinking I may cover this with vintage signs and stuff. Had the RC Everyday sign and the arrow in my house, and the arrow used to point into the doorway that went to my studio. And I put it up there and it looked cool, and I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. And I did that. I got my orange wood. I had to special order that stuff. And that is all the scrap that I had from the orange wood. So I made a trim ring, and I actually cut it and put it inside of the arrow. So the arrow doesn't look as red as it did. And it matches everything, ties it all together nicely. Another big expense with these doors. I knew my scale garage is huge. It was bigger than I remembered because I hadn't seen it in so long. So I knew I needed double doors that open so I could roll that giant sucker in there. And I wanted windows because it looks nice. I didn't want it to feel like I was in a box. Windows probably don't help with the sound deadening any, but it sure looks nice. It kind of, you walk in, you're like taken aback because it just looks like a storage building on the outside. So they were bare wood. I think they were $700, $800, something like that for these. And I built this entire box basically in the end, framed it out, hung the doors, stained the doors, stained all the trim. I spent a good week solid staining. So use this gray stain, just, something rustic. The doors are a slightly different color. It's kind of funny. I had that stain and I shook it up, but I didn't stir it up. So I stained the doors and it was super runny, and it was just, that's why the doors look lighter than the rest of the trim. But I think it actually worked out good because the trim looks good because of the grain. It actually came out pretty good. I even did some around the window, put a little blind in it. That was like $40 by itself. Up here to hide the gap between the roof and the wall, trim's expensive. Crown molding is really expensive. They were trying to get $13 a foot for like 8-inch crown molding, which I needed a big gap because I cheated in a couple of places and needed to hide it. So I just got some 2x4s that weren't horrible looking and stained them. And it looked really good until I've hidden it with boxes now, but it just kind of ties the whole place together. But again, like I said, this was the scraps, so nothing's perfect. It really needed to be solid pieces, but it just looks the part. Put trim around that, the door, everything. Left the floors in here bare. This is what it came with. It's some kind of hardboard thing that's sealed. I don't know. This building's been pretty waterproof so far. First time I ran the heat on this, I did not have the proper drain hooked up. It does have to drain in heat mode. In air conditioning mode, it does not. It may have to be drained years later. It has a little cap on there. You just take it off. But we've had the other ones going for over a full summer now, and they have not requested being drained yet. So it's been cool. So into the abyss. So the way I usually do it, I'll have this door open. This one will be closed, and I can point the air conditioner down and just kind of ricochet it off of there. Leaving it overnight with one door open, it's perfectly balanced from room to room. I had it closed last night. It was probably, I'd say 65 in there, 70 in here. So it wasn't far off with it being sealed. So inside of here, I've got 6 more of these lights, the same ones. Did my best to clean up the wiring. And the ceiling is like an MDF, kind of rustic looking primed board. I didn't paint them. I left them looking like they looked because everything else is rustic. The orange wood was some high dollar stuff. It's like what I did my bathroom remodel in my last house, that I used the white stuff. But I figured we needed some color. I didn't want to have stark white walls everywhere, but I needed a lot of light, obviously, for recording. And worked out well. I wired in a switch or an outlet here in the ceiling and one over here. I've got 2 plugs for the lights in the scale garage. I've got these super hot halogen lights in there because they give off that nice warm vibe. And yeah, that's all I'd really needed in here. I thought about doing like some backlighting behind the racks, but I don't know. It just seemed like an awful big mess. And I'm not, this room is so full now with this giant scale garage. See, I've had to utilize some of that space. My new miter saw I bought last year finally got some use. Put some work in on that thing. So in here, I got the same trim, and the trim is the same board that I use for the shelves, and it's all been stained. She didn't use 2x4s. I've grossly underestimated the amount of touring cars I've been collecting since February, and I still have a few more in the house. But I've got one spot empty down here. The crawler side is pretty well full. I've got one rat rod project down there. And I hate kind of having miscellaneous stuff up top, but the send trucks only fit up there because they are so dang long. So yeah, we'll just have to make do with it. I need another shelf somewhere for trailers because I forgot about all my rat rod trailers. So I've just kind of stuffed them in everywhere. So carpet in here with some commercial square stick-on stuff. And of course they sell it in odd square footage packages. So I needed a package in like 3 pieces to do this, so I ended up buying 2 packages, and that was pretty expensive. I think these were like $60 a box, but at least I've got lots of spares now. These are dirty. I haven't vacuumed in here much. So if I ever mess any up or something, I can replace them. But they've stayed stuck down great, and I haven't had any issues with it yet. And it's real nice when I drop scale hardware and stuff, it doesn't disappear into oblivion. I can actually find it pretty easily, which is a very nice change of pace. But scale garage is all the same. I've got about everything back in it. You've seen that in some of the videos that came out before this. I've got some scale stuff still in the little garage. I don't know where that one's going to go yet. I may leave it in there in the house so I can take scale pictures when I need without having to put clothes on and run outside. But I still got my tool pouches and stuff like I always had. But I'm digging it. And again, this wall is all white, trim and everything. Floating shelves, those were shelves I had in my living room at my other house. Those are from IKEA. So I didn't include that in the cost, but it works. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I do plan to add some more shelves. I'm not sure. I'm thinking maybe over here and try to get some more of the nice touring car stuff set up. Got some space over there too. And maybe even something on this wall. I'm not sure. The back wall. But definitely planning on doing some stuff out here. Just not sure yet what we're going to do. All right, let me sit down in my recliner here and go over the numbers with you. So, I wrote them on a piece of cardboard. The building itself is $10,426.84. And that included delivery, setup. I had to buy, included in my other cost already, I'd say a couple $100 worth of stones, blocks for them to set it on and get it level. This building was in stock and ready, so once I made that decision, it was right after I got back from Kentucky, hanging out with Jeremy, that I decided I needed to stay in Texas and stay close to family and do all this here. So went up there. The first place I looked at, the building was a lot cheaper than I thought it would be for the size. I thought this was going to be around 14, 15,000, and I didn't want to spend any of my money because I don't technically have a home right now, but I did it. They had it ready to go, so it took about, I think, 2 weeks before they could get it delivered, and gave me time to get everything set up and ready for it. The metal for the ceiling, and it's going to be used for the skirting. Like I said, I got that at a local place, and I ordered it in the lengths that I needed. That was $437. That was about the cheapest I could find. Buying it, Home Depot and Lowe's, their stuff, it was going to cost about $650 for the same amount of metal, and it would have been longer pieces and harder to deal with. It would have been a heavier gauge, but it was going inside mostly. It doesn't matter. Harbor Freight, spent $56 on blankets to line the walls with, which I do have 2 of the small ones left. I may hang them over this roll-up door when it gets real cold, or I may just take them back and get my $14 back. Walmart. I did not have my tools with me for most of this build. Unfortunately, I couldn't get up there. The weather was crazy, and the only way to bring that back was with the trailer. So I had to buy some things I didn't need. I know one of my Walmart trips was a staple gun because uh, mine was in my toolbox, but I still haven't found it, by the way, even though I've had the toolbox. So 104.71 at Walmart. Other hardware stores, I had to go. A local hardware store was the only place around that had the type of breaker I needed for this box. $111.43. I think I picked up a couple random pieces of wood I was short at another local hardware store, so it was a little bit more than the Lowe's Home Depot price. Amazon spent about $287, and that's just for the 2 sets of lights and things like that. Where did Home Depot go? I didn't write Home Depot down. Let me reconsult my list. What was the last thing here? Oh, the alarm system itself is only $150, and you just install it yourself. It's all Wi-Fi and pretty easy to do. That's the alarm that I had on my house for the entirety that I owned it, and it was great. It always worked great. Never had any issues, and the monitoring on it's cheap, and they don't require contracts or anything like that. So it was real easy to do. I know a lot of YouTubers do endorsements for them, so hit me up. So yeah, let's get to the big ticket items. All right, so everything else I got at Lowe's or Home Depot. Lowe's, I check everything. So every day I would come in at the end of the night after building and plan out the next day, and then I would make an order with Lowe's or Home Depot, whoever had what I needed that fit best and was cheaper, and it would go get it, come back home, do it, rinse, repeat. So at Lowe's, I spent $992.75, which is very surprising because I thought I spent a lot more, because that's where I got all of these rustic whiteboards that I did all in there. And I've calculated it out using their calculator, and it, of course, had extra. And then I had all the cuttings. That's why I decided to go ahead and do the outside. So I had to go pick up a couple more here, a couple more there. And the last few little pieces, I've actually made some of the smaller shelves out of. My spray paint shelf is the extra board. So that's not bad at all. Yeah, I had a lot of bad blood with Lowe's. I worked for them for the better part of a decade, and I got fired. But I've actually learned to like it better than Home Depot lately, because Home Depots are always just a disaster. But I have a Home Depot credit card. So Home Depot, I spent $3,716.64. And Home Depot is where I got the air conditioner. So that was $700. Home Depot is where I got the doors. So that was a majority of that. The 12-foot pieces that I did the ceiling in there, that was Home Depot. The orange wall was the special order from Home Depot. Because where I lived before, there was no Lowe's around. So I had a Home Depot card because I've always lived around one the last decade. And that includes, miscellaneous stuff. All these prices include tax. All of these prices, every trip I went to the store probably includes an energy drink. Doesn't include gas, but it includes tax. Spent a lot of gas pulling my trailer around for 12-foot boards, but had a lot to say about my Jeep Gladiator bed after this. Missed some full size. But the grand total is $16,282.13. Out the door, ready to go, power hooked up. A couple things I didn't talk about. So I don't have a meter. I don't have any water or septic, so there's none of that huge expense. Tied in, I had a RV hookup for the house, and we just ran this other box off of that. And yeah, so that was not nearly as expensive as I thought it was going to be, because originally I didn't know how to go about doing the electrical, and I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and everybody's just so liability, we can't really tell you, but you can do it yourself. And it's like, that doesn't help. I even saw in some forums when people were just, please don't ever try to do this yourself, you're too stupid. Like, people are just mean. It's like, it's not hard. You just have to figure out and understand how it works. And just like anything, just like building rat rods, I didn't think I could do it till I did it. So 16,282, I was afraid when I first started this, I was hoping I could hit 5,000 for just finishing it out. And after this last week, after buying the air conditioner, I was like, I've probably spent $8,500 or $10,000 more dollars. I didn't keep any track of it. I just had a Makita bag full of receipts, and I was going to worry about it in the end, because I wanted this to be the way it needs to be. I didn't want to cut corners. I didn't want to cheap out. I wanted this to be everything that I've been waiting for it to be, because this was the whole plan all along. to quit my job and to go full-time with YouTube, and I need the place to do it. And these last 8 or 9 months have been a struggle trying to make videos with everything shoved into one bedroom, basically. Not having access to my tools and not having the space to spread out. I mean, as like I said, I've just been in here the last 2 days trying to unpack and organize, and I've made 2 awesome rat rod videos because I have my stuff and I see things and it stirs ideas. And that's why I have an idea box and I have idea shelf. I just have cool stuff laying around, and you see it and it's in the back of your mind, and then later you see, hey, I could use that for this, or I could do this with that. And that's just how it works, man. You just got to have everything set up. I still have a lot of work to do in here as far as organization goes. I've still got a lot of stuff to bring in here. So that's going to be, yeah, I'm looking at my almost full shelves. It's going to be bad, but I made it work before. I mean, I had a lot of space at that other house, but we still had shelves on shelves on shelves. So we've got room for more shelves. But yeah, that's the grand total. I think that about wraps it up for this whole build. I'm ready to get back to work on RC stuff. I just want to thank everybody for watching. You guys stuck with me through this 8, 9 months of, to me at times, and small projects and things where we couldn't really fabricate, couldn't really do the things that a lot of y'all watch the channel to do. So we're getting back to it. And I thank everybody for sticking it out and supporting me. And since I started building this shop the last 30 some odd days, the outreach of everyone so excited on social media and stuff about this, and that really has driven me to come in at my 30-day deadline with this, because I'm just fed up from trying to do, not being able to do the things I love to do. And then everybody was so on board, like everybody came back. They were like, hey, it's happening. So I appreciate all that. I appreciate everybody that I talk to on social media, and everybody that comments, and everybody that watches and likes and shares and all that stuff you hear every YouTuber say. But yeah, try not to be too that way. Try not to push it like, hey, baby, you're to like, subscribe, and share. But you know how it is. That pays the bills. But hopefully this place is pretty efficient. Electric bill will be cheap. So, so guys, I appreciate it again. Thank y'all for watching. And get out there and do something with a hobby, even if it means building your own workshop. Keep it scale. I'll see y'all in the next video, because it'll be a good one.